Israel plans to shut its Dublin embassy, citing Ireland's anti-Israel stance as relations between the two nations further deteriorate. Dublin has called the decision deeply regrettable. Last week, Ireland supported South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. In October, Ireland and UNIFIL rejected Israel's call to withdraw peacekeepers from Lebanon, citing Israeli forces' proximity to Irish troops as concerning. And in May, Ireland, alongside Spain and Norway, recognized Palestine as a state, prompting Israel to recall its envoys. Bobby McDonagh is a former Irish ambassador to the UK, EU, and Italy. You're joining us, sir, from Dublin. Thank you for your time. Your reaction to Israel shutting its embassy in Ireland?
Well, Israel is a sovereign country, and it's free to take whatever decisions it wants about its embassies abroad. Ireland is likewise a sovereign country with a somewhat higher moral standing in the world than Israel has at the moment. And we're also free to take our decisions about balanced matters of principle, which we have consistently done in relation to the conflict in the Middle East. So what's happened today is a purely Israeli decision. And the Irish government has, as you say, made clear that it's deeply regrettable that the Irish position is not anti-Israeli. It is pro-peace, pro-human rights, pro-international law and pro-humanitarian law. And the government has also made clear that it has no plans to close its own embassy in Tel Aviv. And we do hope to keep diplomatic channels open because that's important everywhere in the world.
So I'm wondering how you actually read the decision. I mean, the why of it all. Why is Israel doing this? Is this for domestic political consumption to show, hey, we're putting pressure on the countries that have moved in ways that we deem hostile? Or is this perhaps a way to put pressure on other countries that are maybe considering recognizing Palestine as a state?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that there are two elements of the Israeli Foreign Ministry's statement on today's decision that are completely false. The first is that they accuse Ireland of extreme anti-Israeli positions. This is not true. Ireland has taken a balanced approach, which at the moment involves not only condemning what Hamas did 2 years ago, but also condemning the totally disproportionate Israeli response. That's a balanced position. And I think what annoys Israel is that moderation is seen by them as extremism. And the second thing that's even more ludicrous is the allegation of anti-Semitic rhetoric on the part of the Irish government. That's not just wrong, it's utter nonsense, and I hope your viewers will understand that. There is not one single example of an Irish government making an anti-Semitic remark. It's part of the deliberate conflation by the present Israeli government and some of their supporters in the world, a conflation between anti-Semitism, which is a scourge wherever it happens, it's not particularly prevalent in Ireland, and condemnation of the grotesque behaviour of the Israeli government. We heard just now on your programme 16 more people killed in a school every day, and we see it with our eyes. And so what the government's position in general and specifically in condemning the killings in Gaza, the disproportionate and indiscriminate killings, is very much reflective of Irish public opinion.
What does this tell us about Israel? There's a country that is, so in this case Ireland, that is supporting a court case against Israel. All of this is about international law and about facts where evidence is presented. It's not politics, it's law. And Israel, in response, shuts down its embassy in that country.
Well, there's two things I'd say on that. The first is that Israel has chosen to close its embassy in Dublin, but not its embassies in Madrid and Oslo. Ireland has worked in lockstep with Norway and Spain. So there's something going on there. I mean, possibly they think it's easier to pick on a small country. Ireland is more than able to stand up for itself, but there may be some element there. You asked me what's going on. I think, quite honestly, there is a degree of irrationality going on. I mean, I do understand the deep emotions in Israel following the Hamas attacks in Israel. But if a country ceases to be able to behave rationally by, for example, condemning Ireland's relatively moderate and balanced approach as being anti-Semitic, it's not only, if you like, upsetting for our country, but it's also not very optimistic about the future of Israel. I mean, you can get away with saying that sort of thing, but if it can't think rationally and behave rationally about international relations in the longer run, it's really not good for itself.
Can you speak to when there's a big high-profile event like this, right? A headline-grabbing event. One country shutting down an embassy in another country over an event. In this case, Ireland supporting South Africa in the genocide case against Israel. When there's that in the public eye, what's actually going on behind closed doors? Are there more measured, more reasonable discussions and conversations between diplomats behind closed doors or not?
Well, as I said, I hope that the Irish Embassy will remain open in Tel Aviv. Certainly the Irish government's intention is that it should. I think it is important to maintain dialogue. I mean, the Israeli statement also said today that it will calibrate its embassies abroad in proportion to how supportive they are of Israel. That's more or less, those aren't the exact words, but that's not the way international diplomacy works. You have to have embassies not only in countries that are friendly with you, but in countries with which you have differences. And Ireland has always stood solidly behind the right of Israel to exist, and we believe strongly in Israel's right to exist. The Irish government has consistently condemned what Hamas did. But at the same time, we're profound believers in a two-state solution. There will be no peace long-term in the Middle East unless the equal rights of the Palestinians, and I emphasize equal rights of the Palestinians with the Israelis, are recognised. And that's at the heart of the Irish government's approach.
Bobby McDonagh, former Irish ambassador to the UK, EU and Italy. Thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.